こんにちは。今日はオーストラリアにある FPV 専門店Phaser FPV に行ってきた様子を紹介したいと思います。こんにちは。今日はPhaser FPV に来ています。で、インタビューをさせてもらうことになったので、よろしくお願いします。Nice to meet you. My name is Hajime.
Hajime, I'm Shannon.
Some questions?
Sure.
Could you tell us about what Phaser FPV is?
So we started originally stocking parts for drones, mainly FPV stuff, and we've branched out for 3D printing to accommodate for drones, and we're actually doing some electric vehicles now too, like electric skateboards and whatnot. But our main customer base is FPV parts, race drones mostly, and some wings and planes as well. We're one of the only shops you can walk into in Australia and look at the products and touch the products, talk to the staff who use all the products as well. So we have a good knowledge base here. We do repairs, which not many other places offer. We can do custom builds, and we can do custom design and printing for almost anything. Most retailers operate online only, and they don't have a physical store, and that's what makes us a little bit different.
What is the most popular product this century?
With the drones, by far the thing that we sell the most is probably the Mr. Steel 5-inch propellers. So his propellers outsell any other propeller that we stock. Brain FPV flight controllers are quite popular, and the China hobby line batteries have proved to be very popular as well, along with a lot of the TBS video transmitters and crossfire equipment. They seem to be the hot items at the moment.
You got any order from Japan?
We have actually. It's not common, but we have shipped some parts. I think we actually shipped some of our printed designs there recently to a customer. International orders aren't as big, but it's starting to grow as more people see. We've sent a few products to Canada and the States, and I know of, at least personally myself, I've packed 2 different orders for Japan in the last 6 months. But hopefully more in the future, right?
日本からも注文を受け付けているそうなので注文してみてください。How big is the Australian FPV population?
I would only be able to hazard a guess. We do regular race meets across the road there where we set up all the gates once a month and people will come and race. It usually has probably between 15 to 20 pilots from the local area. They do it up at Newcastle as well, and they do it down in Sydney. So that gives you an indication of how popular it is. The most popular place where the most high profile pilots race and practice is probably down in Melbourne. There's a big centre there called Eastside FPV, and you can find their Facebook page as well. Thomas Bitmardo, which you may have heard of, is a regular racer there. He's won multiple national and international competitions. BMS, Thomas. Very hard for me to say how many people though, unfortunately. Yeah, there's definitely a big racing community, but equally as big would be a lot of freestyle pilots and people who just fly for fun.
What is the most popular size of the drone?
5-inch would be the most popular, from the racing community mostly. 5-inch being the size of the propeller. But we are seeing an increased popularity in the toothpick class and up to sort of 3-inch. These things are becoming quite common. Easy to pack into your bag and go and fly at a local park without attracting too much attention. So yeah, but it's still 5-inch, I think, would be the most popular.
Could you tell me about Australian FPV rules?
So it's a little bit of a grey spot at the moment. We have a weight limitation of 2 kilos or less, and the rules are a little bit up in the air in terms of how far ahead we go with remote ID is on the cards, as well as a few other things. And here's our friend Piper, who's come to say hello.
Hello.
It's still a bit of a grey area, unfortunately. Okay. We find for most people that if they're aware of the people around them and they keep 30 meters away from anyone who's not actively involved in the piloting of the drone, don't fly over populated areas, and just generally be mindful of the limitations. We find we don't have many issues.
Can we fly FPV drone if we are from Japan?
You can. I haven't personally heard of anyone having issues, and it usually boils down to making sure you keep well away from people, well away from populated areas, not over main roads or anything like that. And we're lucky in this country that we have a lot of open space. So with a little bit of common sense and finding a nice quiet place to fly, the state forests and the national parks, often people fly in. I've had friends asked to move on from parks by the council rangers saying you shouldn't be flying there. But then I've had the same friends fly at the same place and not have an issue. The best advice I could offer would be to join one of the local Facebook groups and ask for some of the popular areas where people are flying, try to meet other pilots, and we can suggest places that we've flown comfortably without problems. In general, if you're not annoying anyone, if you're not in a place where there are lots of people, you don't have a problem. Probably our biggest point of concern would be local parks when people come to walk their dogs. That can be a bit problematic because the dog is a bit of an unknown variable. You don't know if it's going to chase your drone. But all in all, we haven't really had an issue. We had a guy come from New Zealand recently. He came into the store, we told him some good spots to fly, and he went out and flew responsibly. And that's probably the key word, just to be mindful of the dangers involved and to be responsible.
Do you need any license?
No, as of yet, if your drone's under 2 kilos, you don't need a license for it. However, all of this stuff is up in the air at the moment. It's expected that CASA, who is our governing body for this, will start to introduce some regulations in the next 2 to 3 years. We're not really sure what they are going to be. There is a license at the top of the hill here that some people fly, mostly plane flyers, but there are legitimate clubs and groups you can fly in. Whenever we do our race meets, that's a licensed event, so people pay a small fee and they're covered with insurance and whatnot to fly at that event. However, most of us don't have any issues flying in the local area.
What about wireless communication with drones and transmitter?
As in problems with?
In Japan, we need license to communicate.
No, so there are limits to power output. Most of our 2.4 gigahertz stuff is fine, and that's your standard control link. As long as it hasn't been modified or had a separate antenna put on. The TBS Crossfire on the lowest power setting is legal in this country. To stay within the legal limits of your video, you need to keep it on 25 milliwatts, which is the standard setting for most video transmitters. There is not a big governing body to look into that sort of thing. So some pilots do push the power limits on their video transmitters. However, anything over 25 milliwatts, you're supposed to have a hand license for.
What do you think about the future of FPV?
Look, it's interesting times at the moment with digital systems coming onto the market with high definition. The racing community tends to stay clear of that. They're the people who break components the most, and so they are looking for good quality stuff, but it needs to be cheap. And digital systems from DJI, while they provide amazing visual experience, they're just not quite there yet on the racing market. There have been some people who fly for fun that have moved to it and love it. Horses for courses, we say here. Some people like this, some people like that. So there's some very interesting things happening for search and rescue. Westpac, a banking corporation here, has recently sponsored a project called Little Ripper, which is for the surf life-saving clubs, and they use drones to spot for swimmers in trouble or sharks or things like that. I believe they can even deploy flotation devices for people that may get stuck swimming. So they've invested a fair bit of money there. I personally work on a larger project.
Please give a few words to Japanese FPV pilots.
I hope you guys love it as much as we do. We live, eat and breathe FPV here. Come check out our store sometime and happy flying.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
はい、いかがでしたでしょうか。FPV についてたくさん教えてもらいました。これからもたくさん動画を出していく予定なので、気になる方はチャンネル登録よろしくお願いします。それでは次回の動画でお会いしましょう。